How irrelevant is this hearing today?
If it is limited to a special master reviewing material for attorney-client privilege, then it is largely irrelevant, and it is not even a speed bump. It's maybe not the greatest legal precedent, but that's for us legal nerds to worry about. But if it is a special master to review executive privilege, that is something that I anticipate the Department of Justice would appeal, because it's so not based in law and sets a terrible precedent, and could really slow down the really important both criminal and national security investigation. So we have to await the ruling. And I would say one thing that when I worked on Enron and the special counsel investigation, one thing that I saw was some judges rise to the occasion, and you see them at their absolute best in dealing with facts and law and explaining it to the public. And other judges, for this is my legal term, go haywire. It somehow that sort of fierce white light of public attention throws them off kilter. And so here the legal issue on executive privilege is so clear that it would be very troublesome if the judge goes off on that direction.
I just don't understand how executive privilege applies to a former president. I mean, I don't understand it on any level.
You're right. There's so many arguments. So first, he's saying it's executive privilege, so I get the documents back. But the law is, if it's executive privilege, those documents go to the National Archives. So he would not see them. Second, he does not have executive privilege, as you note. That belongs to the current president. And third, the people doing the review are in the executive branch. The executive privilege applies to people outside of the executive branch. So all of this makes no sense at all, leaving aside that there are extremely good arguments that all of these issues are not really properly before this court. So anyway, we have to await the ruling. And it's really a shame that this was not something that could either be televised or there an audio.
Because you'd like to hear the arguments.
Yeah, absolutely. All of us would. And, you know, in the days of COVID, where the courts really did that, including the Supreme Court of the United States. And this would have been a perfect example of letting the public have more transparency into what the parties are doing here and what the court is thinking.
Would Trump have a better chance at least having some access to these records at Mar-a-Lago if he claimed Mar-a-Lago was going to house his presidential library?
Well, that's
I know that sounds crazy, but I'm talking about Donald Trump, who I'm convinced is going to turn Doral into his library in order to try to get people to show up there. But I'm only being slightly facetious.
So if he was going to claim that the storage bin is the new presidential library, so guess what? It still doesn't work that way, because these still belong to the National Archives, and also he does not have clearance to see classified information. So none of that would be something that he would be able to possess, which is why he's in some trouble criminally.
Well, I want to get back to the large picture here. Let's close with this. Your tweet, and there's a lot of legal pundits these days, right? You don't go over your skis at all. You're not one. So when you say something like this, it struck a chord. You don't make a filing this strong, you tweeted, bold and factually accusatory if you don't have every intention to indict. Explain.
I don't think that Merrick Garland has made the ultimate decision. Not all of the facts and law are in front of him, nor are the former president's own defenses and his pleas about why he should not be charged. But my view of everything that we've heard and the way that the department's going about this and the nature of the evidence, and let me just say, and the comparing what we know to other cases that the department has prosecuted, in other words, to precedent, which I think is going to be key for Merrick Garland, somebody who has spent decades as a judge. I don't see how Merrick Garland says that low-level people can be prosecuted even a few months ago, but somebody who is as high as the former president is not going to be held to account. Either the rule of law applies or it doesn't. And I think Merrick Garland has the backbone to make that decision and make sure that the rule of law applies here.
And as you point out, he went out of his way to say no one is above the law. So,
Absolutely.
and this is like, it looks, from what we've seen, more clear cut than I think any of us expected. Andrew Weissmann, as always, sir, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.